Hello, my name is Michelle, and you're listening to Profit is a Choice. On the podcast today is Tracy Hoth. She is a life coach and a professional organizer with over 16 years of experience. She helps coaches and business owners organize their busy businesses to become organized CEOs, and so they can calmly make more money while working a lot less time. What she does is come in and help you organize your digital files, get things ready to really be able to focus on the work that matters the most. And so I am excited to have a conversation with her today. Every day, empowered entrepreneurs are taking ownership of their company financial health and enjoying the rewards of reduced stress and more creativity. With my background as a financial software developer, owner of multiple businesses in the interior design industry, educator, and speaker, I coach women in the interior design industry to increase their profits, regain ownership of their bottom line, and to have fun again in their business. Welcome to Profit is a Choice. Hi, Tracy. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Michelle. I'm so glad to be here to talk about getting organized.
Oh, I love organization. My family has given me a really hard time. I have two sons who are now 28 and 30, and so back in the day, I used to have charts of organization, like on Mondays, we're going to wash white clothes. On Tuesdays, we're going to wash darks. And when this is going to happen and that is going to happen. And I had this beautiful little, I am a checklist, spreadsheet, note taker. I had it all created and beautiful, had it stuck to the front of the refrigerator. And one day our dog pulled it off and ate it. And my husband and the kids just laughed. They thought it was hysterical. I mean, I had down to at 6 months, check all the batteries and the smoke detectors. At every quarter, we're going to clean the ceiling fans or whatever craziness I had at the time. It was my way of trying to create order in a home. But when the dog ate it, it never went back up because the family gave me such a hard time. So
They were probably cheering. Yay, that's gone.
that's right. That's right. And then we have, of course, their chore list. Everything had a list, but that's how I've organized and planned my life. But I'll tell you, and you probably see this quite often, Tracy, I still can get overwhelmed by the amount of emails and like the digital, like we don't get as much mail in our mailbox anymore, but my goodness, the amount of emails coming in and that need to look at everything or touch everything or clean up everything and keep up with everything. I think it's a real challenge for the individual, but certainly for business owners.
100%. Yes. And that's why, let's start with just what organized means, because I think about that. We all have our different thoughts about what it means. But when I think about being organized, it's knowing what you have and being able to find it when you need it.
I
So
love that.
it doesn't have, because I can get caught up in that too. Like, oh, I have to have 0 emails or I have to have this perfect on my computer. No, I can clean that up. I know where it goes. It has a home. I know that I have it. So we can maybe relax a little bit for everyone listening that it's just knowing what you have and being able to find it when you need it.
That's a beautiful definition of that. Tell me, Tracy, or tell all of us, how did you get into this as a profession or as a job where you help people organize, all the data and all the information that's coming at us?
Yeah, before it was even popular or well known to be a professional organizer, I had a friend that wouldn't let anybody in her house. And when my youngest started school, I decided this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to help people. So I began a long journey of being in people's homes and offices and helping them get organized. And I knew I didn't want to do it forever after 10, 12 years. I thought this is so physical. It's such a challenging job.
Hmm.
I knew that I wanted to do something else. So I came upon coaching. I went and got life coach certified, and I began to combine the mental mindset part of getting organized. And I had never been the type of person that did that in the past. I just went in, helped people set up structure. So when I combined the two, I was like, this is magical. We had so much fun, like really looking at the mindset And I started working online with people. And then I had a business online and I started getting all this stuff and finding things and making duplicate copies and not being organized. I had to put in my steps to online and create super simple things that could help me stay organized online. And I thought, holy cow, if people aren't able to do this in their home, how in the world are they managing it online? And then I started helping business owners organize the back end of their business. So I am still doing both of those things, not in person, but all online, helping business owners and homeowners. And it's just been the greatest thing.
What I find so interesting about that is, I don't know, you've probably read the book Atomic Habits. I don't know if you've seen it before. Okay. And, just the conversation about how much is happening up here, like between the ears, like the mindset, the thinking process, it it happens so much before any action that we do takes place. And just even thinking about the mindset of what we keep and why we keep it and where we put it. I shared with you before we came on that we've recently purchased a new home and we're moving after 27 years. And what I have found so fascinating is it's not just like I've organized myself here. I can tell you where just about anything is in my house. I know because I know where, like, yeah, it's got a place and I know where I put it and I know how to find it. But when I am moving into this new house, the setup is not the same. And so I can't put things where I already mentally have them slated to go. I'm having to group them differently due to space confinement and restriction. Like I mentioned, I have a 36-inch wide drawer that's, 12 inches deep. And over there, I've got like an 18-inch drawer that's, I don't know, 6 inches deep. Like a spatula won't go in it. But I'm trying to figure out how to make use of these things. And mentally, I was having a hard time. So there's the mental challenge of I need to do it. And then there's the mental challenge of how do I do it? How do I even deal with all the data, whether it's physical or whether it's digital? It's still a lot of stuff. I used to watch Hoarders. Have you ever? I'm sure you've seen that on TV. And I used to always wonder, they would bring in mental support, mental health support for people. And at first I was like, I didn't understand what that was about. And then you start to realize the emotions that are attached to people, different things that have happened in their life that make them feel like they need to hold on to something. Or why can they not get rid of this if it's no longer serving them? But why do we hold on to things? Whether it's an email, I used to be bad about holding every sent email, every trash email. I had 19,000 emails in my trash. And my husband was like, honey, if it's trash, it's trash. You need to let it go. And I would say, yeah, but once in a while I have to dig into the trash file to find something that was sent. And he's like, how often is that? But it was a fear, right, of not having the information. Yet I knew that I didn't need it in my day to day. So I'm just curious from your perspective, what have you found either the most interesting or a pattern that has fit into kind of that mindset piece where it's almost the starting point before we ever really look at the files and look at the home or look at the pantry. Like, how did you, what is that part for you?
Well, I think a lot of it is our identity, things that we've told ourselves. And we can look back and think maybe it's when we were kids and we were growing up and our mom said, your room is always messy. You weren't as clean as she was or he was, like a sibling. Or it could be you got fired from a job because you didn't turn things in on time or you were late or whatever it is. Like those little thoughts of how we think about ourselves and who we think we are, I think that comes forward, and those things are driving our actions and what we're doing or not doing to get organized or to stay organized in our business. So it's uncovering those things. And I think a lot of times that's the bowl of spaghetti that we have, and taking the time to untangle those things or having someone witness it to see, did you notice that this is what you're thinking about yourself? I just had a client that realized she didn't think she was worthy. She realized that was what was happening because she had a messy room as a kid. Her mom would tell her that you're a messy person. And because that was tied to the home, her home now was messy. And she realized that once that came to light, like she untangled that piece of spaghetti, she could then question it and say, "Oh my goodness, I have so much evidence that I'm organized in the way I plan vacations or the how I am at work." But in this one case, that worthiness was tied to it. And when she could question that and make a decision, do I want to keep going forward? And if not, then it's looking at ahead of you, who are you becoming? Who do you want to be? And practicing those identities versus the ones you've held on to and not even been aware of necessarily.
Yeah, that's why I love working with a partner on things like this because we're so used to our patterns, we don't even see them. That's the thing I love also about Atomic Habits is he talks about act like the person you want to become, not the other, right? Because what you believe about yourself informs your identity and that informs your actions.
Yes. I always think that too. Like you, if you want to get organized, you want to get your business organized, be more of an organized person, what is keeping you from that? Part of it's your identity, and maybe it's the skills. You don't have the skills. And then part of it is the mindset. And so, what do you need to support yourself to get over there? And the reason I bring that up is because some people, I have clients that have ADHD or have executive function lapses or deficits, and they wouldn't think to do that. They wouldn't think to or know how to set up that foundation of organization. But once they get it, it's amazing and it makes sense to them. So, where you have that gap, you can get help to set it up and then you can put it in place. Some other people might have the greatest setup, but they can't keep it in place. So, just know your own strengths and weaknesses and support yourself in that way.
So my youngest son has dyslexia, and that's been shared to talked about that before. But I can remember when he was younger, part of that executive functioning and learning how to put things together I would, when I created my way of doing things, it didn't make sense to him, right? My organizational method did not make sense to him. And so when he went off to one of the schools that he went to that really created structure and order, and they worked with a lot of kids with dyslexia or ADD or ADHD or executive functioning disorders, but they created whatever system they created. And it, because every teacher did it, every kid did it, like it was just the standard of what the school did and how they did it. And my son picked it up so much so that when he went off to the next schools that didn't have that structure, and it was for middle school, which when did the kids ever need it? Middle school, because that's going to lead their life. But it was something like English is in a blue notebook, math is in a red notebook, science is in a black notebook. So then when we went and bought notebooks, they told us these are the sizes and the colors of notebooks that you need. And then every class told every kid. So now when they went to their locker and they knew they were going to science, everybody grabbed, let's say, the black notebook because science was black. So they knew. And they did that for 3 years in a row. And so, because every teacher, every class, no matter the grade, did the same system, every kid in the school learned the system. Well, then when he went off to high school, which was public high school, he carried that system forward and could use the system. So it taught him how to create systems that worked for him. But I did learn very early that one system that fits one person isn't necessarily going to fit another person. But it's what you can do and what you can maintain. I really think that is imperative in the whole, because anything that you set up but can't maintain was kind of worthless.
Yeah. And that makes me think of the concept of the wonderful one. It's teaching your brain there is one way that you do it. And so you can see how he had did that, or the school helped the kids do that, is there
Yeah.
is one thing their brain will not have to figure out and think about and look at all the options. It's one way. And whenever we can implement that into our business organization, into our life or our home, do it every chance you can so that you have less decision fatigue and you can reduce that going forward. I
Yeah, I
love
mean,
that. Even my own kids were they were talking about that recently because they're all grown. They were talking about their different folder colors and they could
yeah,
remember the same thing.
yeah. And I've often thought that school was very much one that said we're going to help teach your kids structure because a lot of these kids don't have structure. that's just part of the underlying challenge that they have. Like with ADD and HD, it could be all over the place. Like we're just going to give them structure and we're going to all stay structured for the same time we're together the same way. But what was so interesting, and I was going to say is now when I look back and I see these things, I recognize even in myself, ways that I have done things that then I figure out they don't support me. So the one thing that you can always do, but then it might not. But Steve Jobs used to always only wear like a black shirt. Like he had his Simon Cowell, I think, said he's got like three color t-shirts and jeans, and that's his outfit. And I recently heard that President Obama had 30 suits that were exactly the same when he was in the White House. And he would always grab that suit because he didn't have to think about it. To your point, remove the decision fatigue. And I don't know if I'm ready to go into, I've got on a gray shirt today. I don't know that I'm ready to go into all gray, but I can see the need to reduce some of the questions that feel like they're just, that you almost feel like you're being pecked to death with questions. And so having to constantly make decisions is exhausting.
Yeah. I mean, I can see, I'm like, oh, a collared shirt. Like you could do it in that way that you always wear a collared shirt or something and then
Right.
go crazy on the designs or the colors or whatever. But yes, any way that you can reduce it down. And that's why I think about like my dashboards in my business. I use Google only. And I use a Google dashboard for each thing. So for my podcast, every single thing that I need for my podcast, my guests fill out forms, it feeds into that. Everything is in that one dashboard. So my brain, and it's linked to my bookmarks bar. So my brain knows, click on that bookmarks bar, open that thing, and everything you need is there. It just makes it so simple that you can find what you need and know what you have.
Yeah, and some of mine because and maybe you've run into this, but some of mine because they've been built over time, like it's a hodgepodge of things, and I'm trying to wrangle it back in and move things more into like in one place in one way that I can work on it.
Yes, and it is, right? Especially if we're in business for a long time, things change and new things come up. And that's where I have to remember, Tracy, quit getting distracted, quit thinking you need something else because there's so many shiny, cool, new software organizing type things out there. And I'm like, no, I actually can stay in this place. And I always tell people, get organized first and then you can go get something you want to help you with it, but make sure you follow the organizing steps and get organized first.
Yeah, consistency really matters. So, where do you help people when they start? Like if I were to come to you and say, "Oh, my digital world is a mess," or it's all okay, but I'm feeling overwhelmed and I feel like it could be better. It's probably the same kind of thing, your starting point. How do you come in and have them start thinking about how to prepare themselves to make the next step?
Yes. Well, when I think of our digital life, there's three areas I think of that are having the most impact or costing you the most. And the first one is just your digital files, finding what you need when you need it. And is there a simple structure in place? Like I have 5 files for business, 5 file folders for business that now I know my brain goes, is it personal or business? And once it's in business, it goes into one of those 5 folders. And that's what I teach. We can rename it, we can customize it to your own business, but minimal and broad are what you need so that it's really simple. So we set up a file structure first of all, and then we follow the organizing steps, which spells space. So sort, purge, assign homes, contain, and energize, and get their digital files organized. That's one of the first things we do. The other thing I love doing, and I have so much fun helping people do this, is setting up an organized bookmarks bar so that when they're online and they're working and they open their computer, they can get to everything they need in seconds. So all their most used websites are linked with the logo, like with the little favicon. They have folders for programs that they're in or other things. And then they have their dashboards or whatever they use to organize their business. So they have all those things within one click. And so people just don't know to do that. They haven't thought about it. They haven't seen an example of it. And so I usually watch people work as we're working on their computer, they share their screen, and then I can help them set those things up. And I mean, they are just like blown away that they never knew this. And I think about your son in middle school. The school was teaching them, but most of the time, we don't take an organizing class. No one's showing
Right.
us how to do these things. And so if it doesn't come naturally or we haven't seen someone else do it, we don't even know how much time it could save us. So those two things are the most exciting things. And then the third one is we look at their processes. What processes do you have, and do you want to document those and what that would look like?
I'm sitting here when you said bookmarks bar. Mine is a hodgepodge of here are a couple bookmarks and everything else is just sitting in other bookmarks. Like it would take me forever to read through the other bookmarks. I don't know that I could even find what I was looking for if I needed to find it. I would be like, it's in a bookmark somewhere.
Yes.
I
And that
couldn't.
is one of my most exciting things. Like, I love opening my computer and knowing that everything I need is right there. It's just like so peaceful and amazing. And I can save things if I want. If I'm working on a certain project, I have a little folder there, and it's just so helpful.
I was even thinking when you were describing going into Google and having your dashboard. So there's even parts of my business, like my podcast. I've got parts of it in over the years. I've got parts of it in Airtable that I manage. I have parts of it in Dropbox. And where do I have? That might be it. There may be some. I don't think I have any in Google, but I'm already moving around so many places that I've been thinking about how do I streamline some of that because over the years it's worked fine until all of a sudden you're like, I can't drag and drop from there. I've got to download everything. I don't want to download everything. It takes up space on my computer. I want to drag and drop. Um, just trying to think about, to your point, we use the systems we can use. And while we shouldn't just jump after every shiny thing, at some point there are better solutions. I mentioned to you that I use Go High Level as my CRM. And prior to that, I was on Infusionsoft or Keep. But then I had educational systems. So I had tied to like four different systems. Cost was outrageous by the time I was trying to manage all these four systems. And then Go High Level came out at like 97 a month to do everything that I was doing. So I started moving everything over and just trying to consolidate. And it has been the best. I go one place and I know where my messaging is, I know where my emails are, I know where everything is, and I'm not hodgepodging all over the place. And it has saved so much time.
Yeah, so I think that's key is when people are thinking about, okay, I need to get organized. Well, look first at what is costing you the most. Is it that, like one of my clients, she said, I panic every time I need to work on a project in my business because I think I'm not going to be able to find something. I don't even know, and my mind just panics and I can't get anything to my employees because I don't know where to find things. Obviously, you would want to start with that to just get a clear structure in your mind, very simple, so that you have that peaceful feeling instead of panic. And so think about your own business and where you are, where it's costing you. And then that begins your first project. You're going to set a start and an end time on that. Get the support and the help that you need to get that project done. I like thinking about organizing as a project, and then you maintain it and set those things in place. But at the beginning, it's a project.
So why do you think we're resistant to it? Why do you think that not just I don't know that people are going like, so Tracy, I really don't want to organize my life. I don't think it's that level of resistance. But why do you think we have that like why was I resistant to updating a kitchen that I was thankful to have? Like where does that come from? Because I think we have to battle that, right? That's part of that mental mindset. But we absolutely have to battle the resistance to change, to is it going to work? Is it not? Here's the time it's going to take. Kind of that,
Yeah.
you
I
know.
think the first thing to do is ask yourself, why am I not organized now?
Hmm.
And see what comes up. Because usually the resistance is coming obviously from a thought that you are having, like maybe I don't have time. I don't have the energy. I don't know what to do. I have too much to do. I'll never get this done. So all those things are, pushing against you as the resistance that it's not possible, it's not worth it, it will take too much time. And so I think when I want to do something that I know will help me, I don't know, let's say working out or something, I like to find something or someone to follow. Like they know how to do it. I'd rather follow their lifting program than have to try to figure it out myself.
Yes.
And so I like to just do that. I think it makes it fun. So, how can you make a project like organizing fun? And I've had people say, Tracy, I couldn't sleep last night. So I got up and I sorted files for 2 hours and I had a blast. And I'm like, who would ever think? But it's because they now have this foundation or this structure that makes sense to them and they know what they're doing and they have a plan.
And it's simple, like you said, create simplicity. Even mentally, when I was day two of trying to get my kitchen organized, and I kind of feel like my husband was laughing. He was like, you just need to step out of here. And I said, I can't get out of here until it's done because to me, the kitchen's the heartbeat of the home. And with us moving into the house, I need to be able to cook. I need to be able to use it. And so I feel like if I could get the kitchen done and if we at least had a bed to sleep in, we can survive for a few days while we organize the rest of the house. So it was super important to me. And after the first half of the day where I was losing my mind and just being negative and complaining and just I was actually throwing a tantrum like a child and it was just bad. I was like, "Rah, rah, 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 rah." And then I had to stop myself. And I was like, God, you have blessed me with this beautiful home. And I need to be thankful for these tiny, skinny drawers because some people don't have a drawer in their kitchen. I just need to be thankful for the drawer. And I think I mentioned to you, I need to find another way to approach this because my approach of taking from here and putting there in the exact same place is not working and it won't work. I need to let that go. I now have a new organizational structure, if you will, and I need to make this work for myself. And so I'm going to ask you to let my brain work in a different way instead of I was trying to do it fast. I was trying to I'd already organized here. I'll just pick it up and drop it there. And the drop zone did not match the zone that it came from. And I finally stopped and I lit a candle and I turned on classical piano music because at first I tried 80s rock and it just amped me up too much. So I had to tell Alexa to quit and to turn on classical piano music. And it honestly, I could feel like the energy just kind of like not go out of me, but just calm. Like the nervous system was just like, okay. So yesterday, when I went over, I immediately lit that candle and turned on that classical music. And just every time I would get frustrated, I would just stop and start saying how thankful I was and then go back to it. But I had to talk myself through it.
Yes, I think so. This reminds me of a client. She's a realtor who we were organizing her digital files. And I think just like you have this expectation that you're going to go in and it's going to look a certain way and it's going to be easy and it's going to be like this. And then with anything, probably there's this messy point
Yes.
where she was organizing her files and it just got confusing and then she'd get overwhelmed and then we'd work together and she would go back, okay, now this makes sense, and she would do it. But it's that messy middle and you want it to be
Yes.
done and you want it to be faster and you have this perfect vision in your head of what it's was going to look like or what it's going to look like, and it takes longer than you think to get there. And it's all okay when we back out and zoom out and we
That's
see,
right.
okay, in a month from now and 2 months from now, it's going to be great and I'm going to love it. It's just this part of figuring it out. It's like a puzzle that you have to figure
Yeah.
out.
Well, it was funny because after we got finished with the kitchen, we went to the master bathroom. And so I took every box in there, we opened them all up again, and my husband was sitting down and he was looking at like all the lotions and potions and all the stuff that goes in a bathroom. And he started to feel overwhelmed. And I said, that's how I felt in the kitchen for the last 2 days because this is going to be different. So we're just going to have to make it different. And I'm even thinking about my digital files and I'm thinking, 13 years of digital files. The thought of I want so much to reduce the clutter. So whether it's in my house or in my digital file, I want to reduce the emails I don't need, reduce the file folders I don't need, pull things together so that I'm not like an Airtable in Dropbox and I'm here and I'm there and I'm there and I'm here and I'm trying to remember where everything is. Like all of that. And our designers, the designers that I support, they're doing the same things. They've got these multi-million dollar projects over multiple years. They're going from ground up all the way to the end with the bow. So the amount of documents and decisions and information gather that they have is tremendous on every project. It can feel overwhelming to even start. But do you normally help people start with, I know you said like the part that's kind of like costing them, that feels like it's costing them. But do you help them start like, let's go through your email, or do you help them start with, let's go through your project files, or do you kind of tackle all of it together in a larger process?
Yeah, and for the example of the realtor, the first thing that she needed to feel good about was to be able to find what she needed for her clients. So we actually started with the client files and getting everything from all the different places into one client file for each client. So she wasn't having to look all over the place. So I think it's custom. You just see where people are feeling. And this is even in your home. Like, what is
Right.
causing you the most stress? Or what will make you the happiest and bring the most joy if you got that organized? So either way, you can look at which place you want to start.
Which that was me. My kitchen was going to bring me the most joy. So I have file folders all throughout my email. So I have one for every client. And so any email correspondence goes into those file folders. So I can almost always go back and find any correspondence that we've had. And I manage through Outlook. I know some people manage through Google or Gmail, same kind of thing. What tools have you found or would you recommend if the listeners were thinking, okay, I want to, maybe implement or start thinking about some of these ideas that Tracy's brought up. What tools do you recommend, or do you go in and try to work with their tools?
Oh, I say use what works for you so you don't have to learn something new. So,
Okay.
yes, all these things and can work with what you are using. Get that organized and then if you want to switch, you can try something new, but do what you know now so you're not learning something new while you're trying to get
That's
organized.
the hardest part, right? There are too many
Yeah.
variables at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. And when it comes to email, what I teach with digital files is to use 5 files in your business, 5 file folders. So operations is behind the scenes, marketing is outward facing, my content is anything you've created, education is anything someone else has created, all those freebies and courses and coaches and certifications. And then clients is the last folder. So in my email, I have the exact same folders on the side. So now my brain only knows those 5 folders. It uses it in digital files. It uses in my email. It uses it in my Canva. I use those 5 folders for everything related to a file in my business.
Oh, that's good. I like that because you're rolling it up, like you said, to the highest level. It's like the five notebooks, right? So whether I'm learning about the Civil War, the British War, the state of Georgia, it's all under the history notebook. And I just pick up the history notebook. So same kind of things. Tell me those five again.
So operations, anything behind the
Yep.
scenes. So that would be money, legal, SOPs, anything behind. And then marketing is outward facing. That's where I keep my podcast, any of my funnels online.
Hmm.
My content is all my programs, my speaking stuff,
Right.
presentations, and then education is everyone else's, and then clients.
That's brilliant. And so then you can start to organize at the highest level instead of which is so true. Isn't that what we always do is we say, don't start as an SOP, don't write it where you're writing every little detail. Start at the top and then layer and layer and layer to beef it up. But don't feel like you've got to write every detail the first time through. It's overwhelming.
Yes, and people try to make file folders. Like they just see a file and they go, "Oh, I got to stick that in a folder." And then they have 47 folders. Instead, put it in one of the five, and when you go back into each one, then you can make subfolders. You can see what you have and categorize it and sort it like with like and make a subfolder that goes with it instead of putting it in a folder before you know which of the five it would go in.
Right. Yeah, that makes so much sense because I can tell you even what I've done. I've got clients set up clients and then I have them. So that one is easy because that was an easy one to kind of separate. But I don't know that I've ever separated out the operations and the marketing and that direct order. Okay, so it still is feeling overwhelming. So let's say that I set those five up. Do I start with and this is for anybody listening, do I start with the information? Let's talk about email for that reason. Let's say I set up those five folders. Do I then just sit in my inbox and move things over, or do I go back to all of my prior file folders and try to figure out how to drag and drop and where they should go?
I always think sort first. So I would make the five folders and I would sort all your folders into those emails. I mean,
Okay,
into those folders.
sure.
Then you go back, and I just did this, like, I don't know, when I set this up, and I went back in then to operations and I went through everything. I deleted a bunch of old stuff. That's where you're purging. And then you can group them. You're assigning homes to subfolders if needed, and you're containing them in a folder. Those are the first four organizing steps: sort, purge, assign homes, and contain. That's the process you take every single time you want to organize anything, including your brain or your time or your digital files or your physical space. You always start with sorting. So even on your computer, if
Because it makes more sense when you sort it and you see like things with like things, which is now that you say it's exactly what I did. I pulled all the vases together, I put all the silverware together, and then I could look at it and move it around. But I kept saying, I can't make a decision about this because I don't know about this. But when I could pull it all together and see it, I was like, oh, now I could start to make sense of how things went. In a physical world, I can see the same thing would happen in the digital world.
Yeah, so imagine taking one vase and sticking it where you think you're going to put them, and then you have 12 other ones and they don't fit there. So
That's right.
same with your computer, like you're taking something and putting it in a folder and you don't even know where that goes or if you have other things that go with it. So for sure, always sort first. And so on your computer, you could put those same five files, sort your desktop, everything into it, then go into documents, sort everything into those same five folders. Then you go back into each folder and you make,
Because now you've condensed it. And so now I'm only having to work within the already sorted folder. So there's less that I'm having to look at to make a decision about.
all like things.
That's
Like
right.
this is the best example is
That's so good.
working with a client. We were organizing their storage room, and if I would have pulled out this dehumidifier that they had, they would have been like, "Oh yeah, that's our dehumidifier." But when we sorted the whole closet out or the whole room out, they had five dehumidifiers. You would not have been able to make a decision on one until you saw that you had five. Even they didn't know they had five. They didn't even know where one of them came from. One was broke, one was the one their mom brought, but they still didn't know where the other one was. And so you can't make a decision on something until you know everything in that category.
It's really like knowing what is the scope that I'm trying to make the decision about. And we the scope is small and it's really large, or we think it's large and it's really small. I found that where I thought in my mind I had more of something than I did, and I allocated more space than I actually needed, and then had to adjust. And it's funny, I think sometimes we think about that in the physical world and we don't always apply it to our digital world.
Yes. So I remember when I was trying to do that, when I started my digital business, and then all of a sudden I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I need to apply these same principles there. And that's the great thing about learning the acronym SPACE: sort, purge, assign homes, contain, and energize, because you will use that every single place for the rest of your life. Like, you know how to get organized now because you know the five steps to organize anything at any time.
That's so good. So, if somebody is listening to this and they're thinking, I'm just going to go start somewhere, you've already said, kind of think about the piece that's irritating you the most or costing you the most or causing you the most frustration. I would also add that if we can organize, at least from my experience, and you tell me if you've had a different experience, the more we can organize our data, whether it's, the physical space around us or the digital space around us, it actually can change our hiring decisions because sometimes we hire to solve a problem that is actually a disorganized problem. And if we could organize, we may still have to hire, but we may hire a totally different person.
And so many times, like people even want to hire someone that will organize something, like that will make order there. And that's the not fun part. It's like we have to do that first and
Yeah.
then we can hire. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, Tracy, if other people would love to work with you and take some of this knowledge and have some assistance, because let's be honest, it can be very overwhelming. Like I so want to get as organized as you're describing. Like it sounds magical to me. But just even the thought of it is a lot. How do people find you and who do you work with to help organize some of the things in their life?
Yes, my website is simply squaredaway.com. People can go there and find everything they need. I work with business owners. So anybody that has digital stuff, I can help you get organized there. I also have a program for women that want to organize and declutter their home. So I have both sides. I work with one-on-one clients and I have a program for each of those sides.
That's awesome. Well, Tracy, it has been so fun to talk to somebody who likes to organize, even more so than me. So my family, I don't know, it probably wouldn't at least put a list on the refrigerator for everybody, but I can imagine the peace that it brings to have things where you can get them when you need them. I mean, that's really what we're talking about here, right? Is reducing the chaos in our lives so that we can spend that time with the people we love doing the things that we love.
Yes, and show up as the organized CEO of your business or of your life and home, whichever it is, but show up as the organized CEO. That's like your new identity is, of course, yes, I'm organized. And that in itself brings so much peace.
Because otherwise, when you show up and you're not organized, it feels very scattered. You feel like you're just running into the meeting, you're not ready, or you can't find, and it really amps you up. So I think this is a great topic and conversation that we need to be having because the more it's almost like our digital life is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. There's more and more and more to keep up with and to sort out and to keep in place that it can absolutely get away from. We think we have it, but it can get away from us so quickly.
Yes, and I want to encourage people because if you know what you have and can find it 80% of the time, you're organized. Like we're not talking about perfection. My stuff's not perfect, but I know what I have. I can clean it up quickly because it has homes. But there's times when I can't find something. Totally fine. You're
Right.
still organized. So be encouraged.
I love it. Be encouraged. Well, Tracy, thank you so much for the conversation today and for encouraging us to find a simple way that is sustainable to keep up with the data and the things in our life. I really appreciate that.
Oh, thanks, Michelle, for having me. It was fun to talk about it.
Thanks so much. Tracy, thank you so much again for coming on and sharing everything that you've done just to help us think about space and think about the larger ways of organizing instead of going into all the final details at the very beginning. So super impactful and absolutely something I can take away even right now. What I would like to also offer is for you to go check out her website, check out the links that we have in the show notes, and see if there's a way that you can get help if you need it. So check that out. Also, want to let you know that we are moving into a really busy season here for our businesses and yours, and we would love to continue to support you in growing strategically in your company. And so we have a lot of opportunities to work with us to either understand your financials more deeply or to understand the impact of strategy and financials and strategy. And so you can find out more by going to scarletthreadconsulting.com. Remember, make every day profitable, because profit doesn't happen by accident. Profit is a Choice is proud to be part of the designnetwork.org, where you can discover more design media reaching creative listeners. Thanks for listening, and stay creative and business minded.